Today's video is definitely not sponsored by Texaco. Previously on building Benny's movie park, and then using the smaller ones, we can sort of create like an arch shape over here. I think for now that is just fine. Okay, so then we have this piece of wool. Let's copy that over a few times. Then we need a second layer that's a bit thinner. Guys, I think I've done it. Look at this. Oh my god. That turned out so much better than I thought. Very nice. Wow, I really like this actually. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to building Benny's movie park in Planet Coaster 2. Today we are back at Hill Valley once again, and I think we should work on some of these buildings over here, along with at least the station of the coaster. Possibly also in here we can use some interior. Right now there's literally nothing, so there's definitely enough to do. Let's get straight to it. In this spot where my station is in the movie is the Hollow Max movie theater, so let's go and build that around. And I have a feeling that it's going to be pretty easy because the base of it are these arches, which we already have pre-made. The only thing is the station here is gonna have those mechanics which you don't have in the movie because there's no coaster. What I can do to sort of hide it is make it the same color as the rest of the building, but besides that, it's always going to look like that. Now, per usual in this area, the proportions are gonna be all the way off, I think, but at least the same designs we need to put in here. That being, in this case at least, some pillars. Here you go. Unfortunately, this part has a pattern on it. Without that, it would have been pretty much perfect, but I guess this will have to do. Is gonna look very different, I think. Some of those smaller details on there as well. And the part where the actual coaster comes out, I think we can turn into this little section you can see in this image. All we gotta do for that is simply make sure this aligns, which is tricky at this angle, but it should work. Here you go. See, that matches beautifully with the entrance. Perfect. And now I think we need the part where it has all the text on it. I was hoping we could use this, but we're gonna have to see if that fits. Probably needs to be a little bit bigger, like that. The same thing, but the other version underneath for that bevel, like the edge on it. I feel like that could have a similar effect. And the white area has to be a bit higher so we can add the text on top. And then another one of these edges. So that is not identical at all, but I actually like the way that looks. The extra little edge makes it look a bit more, you know, defined, if you will. This has to go all the way up until the end, so let's already do that as well, like this. And then that is really starting to look like something. Next, I think we need a wall over here, which is going to be the big gray thing. Then we need to be going up. Oh my god! Bro, oh, this is so annoying. I just wanted to go up, 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 oh my god. Yes. Oh, working sideways on these buildings is horrendous. Anyway, I've also noticed this part, which I think we could use. No, we can't because it's too thick. I'll just somehow make it work. This needs to be good looking. Just gotta fill up all the gaps then, which actually not too bad, apart from some minor gaps we need to fix. And then to resolve the thickness issue, let's simply copy over this wall to here. Actually not terrible, that's fine. And then a very similar thing is required on the front. Basically the same thing, just a little bit higher on this part. And that thing, in fact, goes all the way down here to about here, I'd say. This is actually such a huge puzzle. It's just trying to make everything fit and fixing little errors like this, for example. I don't really know what's going on at the back here, so I'll just extend this for now and hope for the best in just a minute. At the very top, however, we need a ginormous square block, basically. So, well, let's have a look. Probably something along the lines of this. Let's make it nice and deep so the whole thing fits inside, and then connecting it all the way back here. And that actually turns out pretty sweet with the window thing that's gonna be here. Can't complain, that is for sure. I'm closing this building up from the side as well to have that finished. Here you go. Not sure about that, we'll see later. That is definitely a good start. On the main building, there's a very subtle but definitely present blocky texture. So let's go ahead and use these very skinny poles to pop that in place. Something like that. And then the same thing, but horizontal, like so. And as basic of a technique this is, it still works pretty damn well. There you go. That is pretty much the exact thing I was looking for. I then simply copy that over to the other sides and boom, just a little bit lower as well. Then in here, let's pop the glass we desperately need. That should neatly connect to the top. And then it has to be red, it seems. Let's make the opacity very low, like this maybe. And then here you go. However, this of course does not fit. Let's fix that. Till about here I think should be better. This probably means we also need a frame to make sure the glass stays in place. Or at least we're gonna make it look like it's being held in place. Here you go. Quite satisfying if I do say so myself. And an identical thing down here for this glass. It's actually supposed to keep going, but well, for us, the train has to go through, so we have to kind of DIY this part over here. And a window frame to make it look more detailed and accurate. What a surprise, ladies and gentlemen. Here you go. Pretty good. Then now what? For the shark's eyes, because I'm pretty sure we can assume that is supposed to be a shark, we have to kind of look at what we can use. They're supposed to be like the hollow projectors. We don't have that, of course, but we can maybe use something that looks like it. Maybe just this will do fine from the sci-fi pack. Definitely not identical, but what else can we do? Only problem is we can't do it here because then... I don't know. Enough about that. First, let's fix the text on here. We most definitely need this one. On the side here, it says the following. This time it's really... That is identical, actually. Wait. Personal. And then that has to go behind really. Because as you know, this is supposed to be the 19th Jaws movie, sequel, if you will, directed by the son of Steven Spielberg. Now let's go and pop this straight on, just right about there, I think should do. And then we need the giant letters saying Jaws. That has to be bright red, like the following. Jaws. And I think for once, the font isn't that far off, besides the J. But that's definitely a first. It always is not what it's supposed to be. Let's go and give that a bit of a white edge like it is in the movie. Something like that looks... Oh, wow. Oh, wow, that looks really good. Okay, and I'm pretty sure we also need a black edge around the white one. This is probably gonna look a bit janky, but it's better than nothing, that is for sure. And I almost forgot, we also need 19 with the exact same effect on that font. So let's just get that done and then pop it in place on the building. Okay, and it's supposed to sit somewhere on this curve. Of course, as you can probably tell, mine is a little bit wider than the original, but I think that is okay. What I could try and do, which might actually ruin it, but let's just try, is fold the letters with the curve of the building. And I think this looks good. I didn't think that would work, but actually it seems fine. Oh my god. That looks crazy good. Wow. Okay. I love that. Holy shit. And all we still need now is just directed by Max Spielberg, just over here on the side. That won't curve with the sign, of course, but I think that'll do just fine. It's for the idea. Anyway, here you go. Dude, I love that. The stripes on the shark head in the movie are pretty much impossible to remake here, but I can just do at least something to get the illusion in there that we have some of those stripes. And the same thing on the other side, I reckon. Anyway, the tower on the corner, I found this part. Unfortunately, it's a bit too big, but that would have been perfect to use. Instead, let's go and DIY this. Let's start with probably this, because that actually looks very similar to the example image. Thing should be about that high, I think. It's going to be a bit bigger than the original, but I don't think it matters. Then with a few separate windows, I'm hoping we can, well, create the windows just like so. Only thing is we now have some gaps in between. We'll make quick work of it. Here you go. Easy as that. All fixed. Then now we just need the roof, which is by far going to be the biggest pain. However, this actually looks pretty promising. I'm just pretty sure the windows are not going to work. This really is going to be a problem. I will try and fix this. I'll be right back with you.
2 hours later.
Yeah, this is probably gonna go down in history as one of the worst things I have ever built. That is horrendous, but it's the best I could do. Anyway, I forgot something here. That is, of course, the Hollow Max title, the cinema itself. So let's go ahead and pop that on as well. And once again, I'll do that with a bit of a curve because it just looks so much nicer. Here you go. Pretty sure this should be about it. Yeah, that's fine. My scaling is off because of the jaw's width, but seems nice. And the last part is the thing that's over here, and I just don't know what that is. Like, what is that? For now, I'll just leave it open, I guess. If you have suggestions, of course, let me know. Leave a comment down below. And then for now, let's move on to, finally, the next thing for today. Okay, so I've kind of laid out the landscape, mapped it out. Over here is supposed to be the Texaco gas station. Right next to it is Cafe 80s. By the way, this somewhere here is where he actually comes out and arrives at this place. And towards the right, we have this stuff going on. And then right next to that is the whole row with fancy buildings. So that is what we have to build. And I think it makes sense to just go in a circle around and then after that do all the interior stuff. So let's get to it. Before working on the Texaco building, first I need to know the size of everything next to it to make sure it actually aligns with the path. For example, Cafe 80s has to be probably around this big, probably one layer wider, something like this, I think will do. Next to that is the brown and green building. That goes up until about here, I believe, more or less. Then we have the metal part in between with a bit of a gate design. This is actually probably perfect. And then that's what the Texaco building is part of. So I think that should be pretty much it. This is going to look incredible, I think, in the end. But the great thing about this building is this texture is exactly what we need. The width, I'm not sure about because I don't have a lot of reference for what happens on the left side of the building, but we'll see. Looking at this, however, that's probably a bit too cramped. Let's make this one layer thinner because I'm afraid it might not fit otherwise with the coaster being here. We need a curved shape for it. It's a bit hard to see, but there is like a curved bit over there at the front behind the two pillars. So I'm going to try and put that in place using some of these off-grid pieces, some like this, and then just smacking that on. I'm just not sure how high that's supposed to be. A bit higher than this, maybe like that. Then we have the two fat pillars, and that is going to be a problem, I think, because we don't have these parts in circles like cylinders. Like we have this, but that is just very smooth. Ideally, you'd want that to be just a bit more rough. I also just realized the gray color here should be a bit more bluish, a bit like gold, like this maybe. I think that's a little bit better and more accurate, most of all, as well as a lot cleaner. We don't need all those spots on it. And then these, I suppose, let's just try and put them over here. That actually looks pretty similar. Yeah, they just have to be a bit higher, as high as the backdrop. Here you go, perfect. And of course a little bit further down, although that's a bit too far. I think we just need the giant shape, and I'm hoping we can use some of those resort pieces, because occasionally they have the very extravagant shapes. For example, what if we grab one of these, we flip it over, and then maybe on the sides we pop this shape. Same thing on the other side. You gotta trust me on this. I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but let's first make this gray, at least. That's the most important for now. Something like this. And this edge needs to be red. Here you go. That actually matches beautifully. Oh, that's great. And the ends, we need to double that. Look, something like this. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. It does have to be a little bit bigger. Probably about that size. How high? I reckon something like this. And we're gonna tilt this ever so slightly upwards like so, just to get the vibe. Oh, that is really nice, actually. And I believe we can use these exact same pieces for those supports as well, because look, I think that's actually pretty close like that. And in the middle, there's also a very plain basic support. Okay, good. Then here at the very top, let me just try something else. And I'm pretty sure this is exactly what we need. We'll slide this edge all the way down here, and then again, tilt that up ever so slightly to match the part above. Make it connect beautifully, and then that's pretty good. Creating a sort of door frame here. Beautiful. Also important, by the way, at the very top is a different section that is supposed to be a dark desaturated blue color, and that really goes all across the top. along with the buildings on the sides, I think. It goes all the way to the side. At the very top of the metal ridge, by the way, let's add some metal rims to make sure it's a bit cleaner. And then I believe I'm also seeing some very subtle railings at the very top, so let's pop these in as well. Really simple stuff, but nice looking. And then also up here is the giant Texaco sign, so let's see if we can do that. I was gonna say I'm not sure these can go big enough, but they definitely can. I think there's even a font that Actually, I think I'm gonna go custom with this part. And with custom, I mean custom in the way of making my own letters. And since they're pretty blocky, that actually should be really quite fast. There is no wedge. There's no wedge. What? I kid you not. There is no wedge. There's only a pyramid, triangle, no wedge. How am I supposed to make the X? That is just depressing. Okay, well, the X is gonna look a bit weird. It's not my fault.
Eventually.
My god. Finally. Okay, so we've got Texa. The A is actually attached to the X. That's pretty cool. Also saves a lot of effort. And then we've got Go. And then we simply put that on the sign shape we have. A little bit bigger. That is pretty sweet, actually, yeah. It has to fit really neatly in this shape we made. Sweet. Nice. I also think we can pretty easily make that other logo. We have all those exact pieces we need. For example, the star shape, we have pretty much that exact thing. There you go. It's almost the same, close enough. That, of course, has to be white. And then, just like we did a minute ago, I'll make the letter T using some blocks. Just like that. That is incredible. I love that. This logo, of course, belongs on this tower here. On the side here, we have some more signs, including just a regular one with Texaco on it. Yeah, I'm definitely putting too much effort in this. That's for sure. But I guess it's cool. That's nice. It has a bunch of info on it. I'm gonna use this because it looks nice from afar. Just don't read it up close. And we'll put some other junk here. So, you know, it looks like there's actually information on it. In the tubes, by the way, let's pop something to make it look cool from the top, even though you're never gonna see this really. Same goes for this, however, just neatly filling up all the gaps. That is pretty... Oh, hello. That is pretty sweet. Then we need the actual pumps up here. I think the science fiction pack might just come in handy here. In general, I'm surprised we haven't been able to use this more in this area so far. Here, this could be one of those pump things on the side. Actually looks surprisingly accurate. I'll even put like a cable going to the main one over here, on which we need a nice big circular part. First though, a pole going into it. And then what do we use for the dish? The disc kind of thing. Maybe this? No. Oh my god, that's it. That is it. Then we need something to close that up on the bottom. I'm thinking this will do just fine. Dude, this is actually so perfect. Oh my god. Oh, and yes, I'm even going to do this because I just can't help myself. Be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, look at what I've just done. This is lovely. It actually really slowly spins around now. I have no idea if that's realistic, if that happens in a movie, but I really like the way that looks. Cool stuff. Then what do we still need? In the background on these walls, there are a bunch of posters and information signs, so let's just pop some in. This, of course, is probably not the most accurate, but this is Planet Coaster. I imagine these are supposed to be the kind of different fuels they have here. But honestly, since you're never gonna be up here anyway, this seems decent, actually. I'm pretty sure for the exterior, that is it for this building, besides maybe some cars up here, but that's a problem for later, honestly. I think we should go and move on to this, because this is already taken way too long, let's be real. So, let's get to it. First, however... strawberry! With whipped cream. Okay, first off, we don't need this part. Instead, we need the one with a doorway inside, because guess what? The reference also has that. Then we need some nice looking pillars, and I'm actually pretty sure these for once are perfect. Here, something like this, I think. Then we need a few of those, 2 here, and then one of them at the end. Actually, wait, that's not true. Just these. Bloody hell, that's nice. Oh, that is bloody lovely. By the way, as you can tell, I also fixed the ground here, which is now filled up, and there's a tiny little alleyway going into that hole where Marty comes from. So that is now looking really nice and finished as well. Then we need glass in here because there's a pretty big window, it seems. We'll make that nice and transparent looking. At the bottom here, probably some sort of plank to put stuff on in the window. And then just like this, like I always do, really, I'm putting in some pattern. Here you go. Nothing too crazy, just simple. Looks pretty good, actually. Also very important is the part on top with the cool fancy edges on it. And this part actually seems to be pretty damn similar. It's got about the same level of detail, or lack thereof. It's pretty basic, actually. Now that we're busy here anyway, let's also go and grab a door. Something like this doesn't actually even seem so bad. There you go. And that color has to match the green. Perfect. And the walls up here, those extend all the way across to the other side, like even as far as this building goes. That makes me think, did I build this too low, or is it fine? I'm not sure. At the end, this wall is supposed to be angled because the cafe beneath is as well. The top of most of this, I noticed, has these metal trims, so let's just already pop those in too. In general, that immediately looks quite fancy. And the building in the back is also supposed to continue in the backdrop, so let's do that as well. I suppose that can stop right about over here. Seems nice. Just to make sure that doesn't look like just a big block, let's add some subtle details using some metal supports. Perhaps, look, just something like this. It's kind of a creative liberty because this isn't technically there, at least not this particular shape, but I don't know, I kind of like it. Then windows, also we still need, let's make this green again, pop that in place, a little bit bigger probably, and we'll do these in pairs like I did earlier. Probably like 3 pieces. You can put like a ladder up here maybe for some fun details. Yes, we need some decals maybe in some of these spots, just for some detail. We need the same windows on the side of Cafe 80s, so let's grab something similar, a bit different though, and put it on here. This time we're going to need 4 pieces. There you go, that's pretty good. And then some of these parts have to be baby blue. Let's determine that color, probably something like this. And then comes the fun part, Cafe 80s, which has to be down here. Let's have a look. For the base shape, let's begin with this. And I just realized something amazing. If I grab this one, split that from the building, I can just spin it around and put it right there. It's too big. Oh, that is too bad. I suppose this could work as well. It's just not as clean. For those kind of pulls in between, I'm going to use these that thing to hopefully make that look pretty accurate. It seems nice. And we need one of those over here and over right about here, I think. A bit closer, actually. And we simply have to make them black and white. And the second row has to be dark red of sorts. Again, I've already made this exact thing in Theme Park Tycoon 2, so it's kind of strange, not gonna lie. This clearly needs glass. Now, I think this will look good. Just gotta see if this fits. Actually, that fits perfectly. Yeah, maybe 90% is a bit too much. Let's do 60. Then the pattern on the red parts over here. Very nice. Yeah, that's actually already pretty close. We just have a few of those random shapes on this building, and I don't love it, but let's just put it in because it is accurate. Also up here, there's just like a random triangle. I don't know why. But we have to be thorough, ladies and gentlemen. So here you go. Just like the real thing. What a mess, actually. This does not look that good, but the real thing just doesn't look that good, to be fair. In general, though, maybe we should first add some benches and lampposts to this. And lampposts, I actually do want to look somewhat accurate to the movie. So let's see. They have that green bluish type rust look. And at the top, there seems to be just some sort of bulb. It's hard to tell, but I also think it is going to be quite the pickle. Actually, wait, I have an idea. What if we simply grab a spotlight, turn that upside down, make it a little bit smaller as well. At the very top, we just put like a big bulb, like so. Because I know these don't give a ton of light, but still it'd be nice to, you know, have at least a look in there. At night, see, that gives off a ton of light because of the spotlight that's inside. It just shines downward. So I think that will just work fine. In that case, let's go ahead and spread these around the area. Let's begin with just a few on the front here. In general, just along the whole edge of the path would be a good thing, I believe. Doesn't have to be all that precise, to be fair. Same thing on the other side then, just along the entire... Oh, really nice. And for benches, I haven't really seen any reference material that shows benches. I kind of like this. Have a look what else we can maybe use. This is decent as well. This is a bit too science fiction-y. However, this is that actually, I quite like that actually. It has that retro but still futuristic look to it. I just don't want to have that weird part. Here you go. How about we make it red so it's even more... Oh yes. I kind of like this. Let's see what happens if we just add a few of those around the road. Actually, just a bit darker red, maybe. For trash cans, I don't think it really matters. These look nice, I suppose, but any of these could work besides the pirate ones. And obviously, we can just kind of add some various different ones. Doesn't always have to be the exact same thing. There you go. Immediately makes it look more like a theme park. I always like that. And by the way, yes, I know it's not technically very useful to put benches near a road. We already established this isn't an actual road, it's just for show. Look, and people definitely needed this. Those immediately sat down. Yes. Then there is one more thing I'd like to do today, and that is adding some of those markings on the roads. I'm hoping I can do that using some simple plaster blocks on the ground. Look, what we need are these arrows. I think these are zebra crossings, zebra, whatever the hell. Except just the design they use in the alternate 2015, it seems. I mean, it's nice is a different thing, but it's accurate. Oh, and for some reason, two of them should be green. Or one of them actually should be green, like so, I guess. I don't know. I did not come up with this. Let's do the exact same thing on the opposite side of the road, just like that. This, of course, needs some work, don't mind that. And what we also have, of course, are the giant letters saying no landing. That should be easy, because that's block letters. For example, here's the N, simple as that. No landing. Wow, this is really easy, actually. Landing, just the G, and there you go. So that has to go pretty much exactly in the middle of this little road. And in some images, I also see it standing here. But since, I mean, we could still do it. We don't have a road here, but it would still be fun to just add. Besides, it's subtle anyway. So, yeah. It is really starting to look like the area. It's still a bit empty. We definitely need a bunch more clutter and just small details. For example, this is just not finished, let's be real. But I just want to have the general structure and layout done before we can actually get into that. Maybe that's one of those ideas for live streams. I know I keep saying I'll do live streams. I still haven't, but I will. I'm just having a few busy weeks, so this is not the ideal time for me. But yeah, for today, I think that is plenty of stuff. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell not to miss a single future video, and then I hope I'll see you in the next one.